Hello everyone, welcome back and thank you for watching. If you're new here, my name is Maria and in today's video I have 21 spring DIYs. I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you do, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell button so you can get notified every time I upload. With that being said, now let's craft. From Dollar Tree, I will be using the Crafter Square wood planks. One pack has 6 of them and I'm only using 5 for this one. I'm going to arrange them like one up and one down, one up and one down. I don't know if this is the correct way to say it, but that is how I'm going to do it. Now to glue these together, I'm using some Dollar Tree popsicle sticks. To paint the wood plank sign, I'm using the Waverly Antique Wax. Now you can paint this whatever color you like, but I love this Waverly Antiques color. It is my favorite one and I have been using it for a while now. To clean it out and making the drying process faster, I use a napkin to wipe some of it off. Now I'm going to use this home metal sign that I had from, I think, the fall. And I already used this before, but I like it using as a stencil. So I'm going to trace it, and then after I'm done tracing it, I'm going to paint over it using the white chalk paint. To decorate my sign, I will be using some of these floral picks that I got from Walmart. I got these last year. I got them for like really cheap. I'm not sure if it were 10 cents or 25 cents each. But of course, Dollar Tree carries so many other beautiful spring floral you can use instead. I will be only using one of the picks. I'm going to cut all of the stems off. And then I'm going to tie them using a piece of nautical rope. I'm sorry, not nautical, jute cord. I am using hot glue to glue the pick to my sign. To hang the sign, you can add a piece of jute string or nautical rope, but what I use is this sawtooth hook that I got from Lowe's. And to finish this off, I just added a cute little bow I made out of the Dollar Tree lace ribbon. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful and it's perfect for this spring. For my next DIY, I will be using this photo frame from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the back, and I'm also keeping the back and the picture that comes with it. I will be using these for this DIY. And I love these kinds of frames because all you have to do is just remove the back, and it's so easy to work with these. Now this color is a peach color. You can't leave it like that since it's kind of a spring color, but I decided to paint mine white using some white chalk paint. Once it's dry, I'm going to put the back and the paper back to the frame, but I'm turning the paper around so like that only the white part can show in the front instead of the cute little kitties or dogs. I'm not sure what they were. Moving on to the next item I will be using is this wood palette from Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint it using the the Waverly Antique Wax. The next thing I will be doing is just gluing the palette to the frame. I'm using another Walmart spring pick and I'm going to cut the stems off and then just place them inside the little box I just made. And the last thing I will be doing is adding a tag, and I'm using one of the Dollar Tree tags. I'm going to use the back of it. I was planning on using the front, but my handwriting was horrible, so I decided to flip the tag around and use the other side instead. And I remember I still have a few other words I can use for this from the transfer sticker sheet from Dollar Tree, so I did cut out the word welcome and then just transfer it to the tag. The last thing I will be doing is gluing a bow to the tag and then gluing the tag to the palette. And that is it for this decor. I think it turned out beautiful and you can use this all year round. My next DIY is so easy and simple to do. This item is not from Dollar Tree, but it did cost me $1 from Dollar General. And 2 of these little tubs come in a pack. I'm only using one of the little containers and I decided to spray paint this one this time instead of painting it. And I'm using this Krylon in white. Now, to match the rest of my decor, I decided to paint the little stripe in the center using the Waverly Antique Wax. I do want to mention that I left this drying overnight because I tried using it like after an hour passed by and I thought it was dry, but it wasn't. So I thought this wasn't going to work, but then I was like, you know what, let me just let it dry overnight and see what happens. And it did work. So now for the florals, I will be using these picks from Walmart and some boxwood greenery. I'm just removing all the stems off from the picks. Once I was done cutting everything, I was going to just put them in there, but then they wouldn't stay. So I did have to use some floral foam. And I'm just using little pieces that I already had, some little extras. And I'm going to glue them in the center. And then I'm going to add some Spanish moss just to make it look fuller. And then I'm going to just add the picks here and there, just arranging them to where they look nice and pretty. The last thing I did was add a little bow that I made using the lace ribbon. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful. And you can use this all year long by just switching the flowers. For the crate, I'm using 2 of these Dollar Tree Decor signs. I'm going to remove the back piece, and that is because I do want to reuse the little welcome and bless sign. I'm using a knife to remove these. These are very easy to remove. I tried to remove the bless without removing the back, but as you can see, I was messing it up. So I just stopped and removed the back and then removed the bless. And you don't have to do this. The reason I did it was because I want to reuse the bless sign. But then again, you do need the bottom piece to be flat if you are going to add little florals or vases on this little crate. Now the next thing I did was remove these little, I think they're nails. I tried to not mess these up, so I did remove them carefully. I am going to use them. Then the next thing I did was put the back piece back, but I do recommend you doing it with the white being the bottom. You'll see white in a little bit. And I'm using E6000 hot glue and the nails, so like that is going to be nice and sturdy, because I am going to add clay pots and they are kind of heavy. Okay, to add the nails, as you can see, I do add a little bit of hot glue just so they can stand up straight and I don't have to be holding them, and like that I won't hurt my fingers. And this is how it looks. Now to make this into a crate, I do need some little corners or something to put them together. So I'm using these little Dollar Tree blocks. I'm using 4 of them, and I'm going to try to paint them the same color as the frame. And I did use a mixture of black paint and some nutmeg from the Apple Barrel acrylic paint. And yeah, I did a little mixture until I almost got the same exact color. It's not the exact same, but it's close enough. And to glue the sides, I'm using a mixture of E6000 and hot glue. I'm going to add something heavy, and then I'm going to let it sit there and dry for a couple of hours. And look how beautiful this looks. I absolutely love this little crate. Now for the bottom, you can just leave it like that. If you're using like a wider pot, you don't need to do anything to the bottom. That will cover that. But since I'm using the Dollar Tree smaller little ones, you will be able to see the bottom. And this is where I was saying earlier to glue the back piece the other way around. For some reason, the paint wasn't sticking to this glossy white. I'm going to wipe the paint off and then just use this Hobby Lobby scrapbook paper to just cover that up. I'm using the back piece of the other frame to just trace it and cut it. Time to sort out all the fights, to sort out all the lies. Oh baby, yeah. There was a part of me that knew that. I'm using the regular Elmer's glue stick to glue this to the bottom. You can use Mod Podge if you want. There's no passion in the comatose. Baby going down, 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 down. Baby going down, down. And look how beautiful this turned out. Now I'm going to work what I'm going to use inside my little crate. Now from Dollar Tree, I will be using this pack of clay pots to come in this pack. I'm going to paint the pot using some white chalk paint. I am going to give this 2 coats of white paint so it can be nice and white. Now for the greenery, I will be using some eucalyptus from Walmart and some lavender. For the foam, I'm using a block from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut it in half and then glue it inside the pot. This lavender is from Walmart. It cost me $1.47. Now this pick has 5 different stems. I am going to cut off 5 and I'm using 2 on each pot. To put these together, I'm going to start off by adding 3 of the little picks that I got from the eucalyptus picks. These are from Walmart. They were 97 cents. And then I'm going to add the 2 picks of the lavender, and I'm going to repeat the same thing to the other pot. And you can still see some of the floral foam, so I'm going to add some of these Dollar Tree pebbles. Baby going down, down, down. Baby going down, 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 down. Tried so hard to stay afloat. We keep moving like the river goes. Baby going down, down, down. Baby going down. The next thing I will be doing is adding some jute twine around the top part of the pot. To finish it off, I will be adding a bow I made out of this ribbon. This is a burlap ribbon and it didn't have these little polka dots. I did add it myself using some white paint and a tiny brush. A little hack is burn the tips if you don't want it to de-thread. And that is it for this little clay pots. I think they turned out beautiful and they look so beautiful inside the crate. For my next DIY, I will be using a Dollar Tree tag, and I'm using this Christmas. I still have some things left over from Christmas, but Dollar Tree carries so many different signs you can use instead. I am also using the little welcome sign that I removed from the little frame for my first DIY, and the last lavender stem from the little pick I got from Walmart. Now to start off, I'm going to remove the Noel. This is just because I thought I was gonna use it, but I ended up messing it up, so I didn't use this. And I am going to use the back of this sign, so I'm going to paint it using some white chalk paint. I did add a little bit of water to the sponge, and like that it made it more thinner. So now it's going to look more washed out. To make the wreath, I used this cutting board from Dollar Tree. You can use anything that is circle, even a plate can work. And I'm using a marker to just do circles. And as you can see, I do move the plate around so the circles are just overlapping. And this marker ended up fading out, so I ended up using a different brown marker. So there is going to be 2 shades of brown, which I think it made it look so much prettier. Now I'm going to add the lavender, and I ended up grabbing another stem from a different pick because I thought I was gonna have just enough with this one and I didn't. But what you can do to make it look more fuller if you don't have more lavender is use some of the other greenery like I did. I did add some eucalyptus to both little picks. I'm going to tie these in the center using a piece of jute twine. And then I'm going to make a bow using the Dollar Tree polka dot burlap ribbon. And I also use a long piece of jute twine to tie the bow because I'm going to use it to tie the bow to the greenery. Before I glue this, I'm going to glue the welcome sign inside the wreath. I decided to use these Walmart beads because they do match the color of the crate. So I'm going to use 4 of them and make a little hook or hanger for the sign. And that is it for this DIY. I think this turned out beautiful. For my next DIY, I will be using this wood block. This came from a Ross pack that I got for $2.99, and I'm also using the Bless that was from the other frame from my first DIY and 2 small little lavender stems. The first thing I will be doing is painting the block using some antique wax, which I am adding water to this so it can make it lighter. After that, I'm going to add some black paint over that, and it's going to almost make the color of the crate. I am also painting the bless sign using some chalk paint. There is 2 different ways you can do this. You can glue this on the side or on the center. I decided to do it on the side because I am going to add the little pics on the other side. Now I'm going to tie both of the lavender pics together. This is going to make it easier for me to glue it to the sign. And the last thing I will be doing, just adding this little cute bow I made. And that is it for this DIY. I think this turned out beautiful. For this DIY, I will be using the Dollar Tree long sign, the one that says love. I removed the heart and then I did sand it down because I'm going to paint this white, and like that I don't have to give this so many coats in order to cover the red, and I'm using some white chalk paint. I am not going to paint this perfect because this is only the vase. The next thing I will be using is these letter stickers. I got these from Michael's. They had these on sale for $1. I actually grabbed a whole bunch of these little packs because they are good for what I'm gonna do now. I am going to put the word spring going down, and I'm going to use these as stencils. I'm going to paint over the sign using my Waverly Antique Wax. And you don't have to do this if you want to do something like this. All you have to do is paint the letters white. And as usual, I don't let this dry completely. I did let it dry though for a couple of minutes, and then I removed the stickers. As you can see, it did bleed a little, but that is okay because I went back and used a tiny brush and white paint to fix that. I did use a sponge to paint this and I didn't like how it looked, so I used a scent sheet paper and then just sand it and blended it more, and I think it made it look so much better. Now to write the word hello, I did use these stickers. Now since I only have a little bit left, I am going to just put these and trace them and use them as stencils. But if I was to not use these more, I would have just left the stickers. And the next thing I did was just paint it using some white chalk paint. Finish this off, I'm going to add this little cute lavender flower and a jute twine bow I will be making. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful and it looks so high-end and it was so easy to make. For this DIY, I'm going to be recycling this glass and I'm going to paint it using some white chalk paint. Dollar Tree carries so many different jars you can use instead. I'm using a Dollar Tree Tanner's tape to tape the bottom. I do want to paint it using some antique wax. I let this dry for about 20 minutes and then I removed the tape. When I removed the tape, I did mess it up a little bit, so I went back with a small paintbrush and white paint and fixed that up. To decorate my jar a little more, I'm going to add some jute twine to the top, and I'm using the Dollar Tree one. I kind of don't like this Dollar Tree one. It is so fuzzy, so I do go back and trim some of the hairs and use a lighter. I then went ahead and added this. I already had this. I actually took it off of another jar that I had. It's just twine wrapped around with a bow and some strings hanging. Now for the floral pick, I'm using this beautiful floral pick that I got from Walmart. It was $3.47, and I do cut a little bit off at the bottom, so like that if it stands nice and straight in the jar. I am not using no foam. And that is it, guys. I think this turned out beautiful, and the best part is that you can use this all year round just by switching the floral. For my next DIY, I will be making a decorative basket. From Dollar Tree, I'm going to use one of their gold metal baskets. I'm going to paint this using some white chalk paint. I'm going to use a sponge. I think it's easier to paint something like this using a sponge. It's probably easier to spray paint this. And you can leave it like that, but I decided to distress mine a little just to make it look more rustic and old, and I'm using some Waverly Antique Wax. I will be making a tag for it, so I'm using one of the Dollar Tree tags. I'm reusing this one, and I'm using the back, so I'm going to paint it using some Waverly Antique Wax. I'm using the 2021 Simply Blessed calendar to cut out one of the little pictures that it has on the back. I know a lot of you say you can't find these, so the girl that designs the picture has an Instagram. I'll have her information down in the description box, so you can definitely go check her out. She does beautiful calendars. Before I glue the picture to the tag, I'm going to add a piece of jute twine and a bead. There are so many different ways you can tie the tag to the basket. I thought of tying it in the front at the beginning, but I did end up switching it and tying it to the back instead, just so like that you can be able to see more of what I have inside my basket. And that is it for this cute decorative basket. I think it turned out beautiful, and you can add so many different things in the inside. For my next DIY, I will be making something you can use as a decor inside the basket. So I'm going to use a piece of wood and paint it using some white chalk paint. I have been wanting to do a book decor, and I don't have any books that my daughter doesn't want at this moment, so I decided to make mine out of this piece of wood. And from Dollar Tree, I'm going to use their sticker transfer sheet and cut out a few words. I thought of using memories, but then I don't know, I didn't think it looked good for a title of a book. So what I did is cut out the journey and the word fam on the side and journey on the front. To decorate the book a little more, I'm going to add some jute twine to the top part. To match the rest of my decor, I'm going to use 2 little pieces of the lavender pick and tie them together and glue them to the side. And I'm also adding a little cute jute twine bow. Now you can add these to the side or to the front. I personally like them on the side better, but I think in the front they will look beautiful too. And that is it for this book decor. I think it turned out beautiful and it looks so cute in the basket. For the Hello Spring DIY, I will be using this Dollar Tree decor sign. I'm going to remove the hook and the label, or the sticker, I'm sorry. And it is kind of rough, so I did use a sand sheet to smooth it out. I then started to paint this using the white chalk paint, and I thought I was going to use the decor this way, but I did end up switching it to the other way. So I will show you that later, but for now I am going to distress my sign, and I made a stripe almost towards the top, and I forgot I had some tape that I could have used and it would have been so much easier because I did end up messing up. I'm just remembering now that I'm seeing me not using it. And this is how it looks. This is where I'm removing the back and switching it over. I should have done this before, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to use this. Before I add the back, I did use these raw stickers to put the word hello. For the word spring, I will be using this one that came in a pack from Dollar Tree. I got this last year. I'm not sure if Dollar Tree is going to carry these this time around, but if they don't, there's a lot of different ways you can add spring. You can even use the wood letters, you can use the Cricut, you can use stickers. There's tons of other ways you can write the word spring. Now I'm going to add the back piece back, and look how pretty this is turning out. I am going to hammer the sawtooth hook back on there, so like that I can be able to hang this if I want to. And look how beautiful and high-end this looks. Now you can leave it like this, but what I decided to do was just add some little bit of greenery at the corner. I added a leaf and a couple of purple flowers and a cute bow. And that is it for this DIY. It turned out beautiful and it was so easy to make. My next DIY is going to be quick and easy. I know I've seen a lot of people do one of these kinds of stands and I really wanted to try it. From Dollar Tree, I will be using a glass cutting board and a glass candle holder. I'm going to remove the little, I don't know what they're called, but they're on the cutting board. I wanted to say gumdrops, but they're not gumdrops. The little plastic or these little rubber things. And then I'm going to use some E6000 to glue these together. I did leave these overnight. I usually just go ahead and just only leave them for a couple of hours and then start working on it. But this time around, I do want this to be nice and sturdy. The next thing I will be doing is painting this using the Waverly chalk paint in Elephant. And that is it for this DIY. I think it looks beautiful in this color. My next DIY is going to be small and cute, and this is going to go perfect on the stand. From Dollar Tree, I'm going to use one of these decor signs and I'm going to remove the heart. It is kind of hard to remove it without messing it up, but I am going to add something on top of it to cover that up. The next thing I will be doing is painting this using some white chalk paint. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. Meanwhile, I'm going to work what's going to go on top of it. From Dollar Tree, I'm going to use a piece of styrofoam or this floral foam. And I'm also using a piece of this ribbon. I got this ribbon from Dollar General. I'm going to glue it to the foam and then I am going to just cover it up. Not the whole thing. I just want like the sides and the front and the bottom. And this is going to be like a little floral basket that I am going to add to the sign. To decorate it some more, I'm going to add some jute string to the top. Then I'm going to glue it in the center to cover that up. Now for this, I decided to add some of the Dollar Tree floral pick. I just took a little bit of the stems off, the flowers and some leaves. I did have to make several holes before I added the stems, and I also didn't glue this, so like that if I want to use this all year around, all I have to do is switch the flowers. To cover a little bit of the foam, I did add some Spanish moss to it. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful and it's perfect for the stand. My next DIY is another perfect core for the stand. Now for this, I will be using this small clay pot. I am actually reusing this, but Dollar Tree right now is carrying the clay pots. This is the one that has 3 in a pack. I am going to paint this using some white chalk paint. The next thing I will be using is the Blessed 2021 calendar, which I have been dying to use the small little pictures that come in the back. I am going to cut one of them and make a little circle so like that it can fit on the pot. To glue this, I used my glue stick and I thought it was gonna hold, but it didn't. So what I did is add some jewelry around it, and this actually helped it stay in place. So you can't glue this with some Mod Podge or some hot glue in the back. Now I'm going to decorate it a little bit more. So I am going to make a bow using this ribbon and add it to the pot, and look how cute and beautiful this little pot looks. Now I'm going to use some of the same foam, and I did have to cut this into pieces. The floral pick I will be using is the same one I have been using for this video. I use a little bit for each DIY. Now to put this inside the pot, I do have to cut it, and I do have to make a own little stem to him, so like that I'm able to add it to the pot. I also use some Spanish moss to cover the foam. Look how beautiful this looks already. I think it is tiny and perfect for the stand. My next DIY is so easy and simple to do. I'm using a Dollar Tree popsicle stick and a paint stick that I cut. I'm going to paint them using the Waverly chalk paint and then glue these together. But first I'm going to add the word home using the same raw stickers. And that is it, guys. This was so easy and simple to do, but yet it's so cute and it's perfect for the stand. From Dollar Tree, I'm going to use an 8x10 canvas. I'm going to remove all the staples and the canvas part. I'm only using the frame. I'm going to paint this using my mint wax wood finish in the color Classic Gray 271. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. Now from Dollar Tree, I'm going to use one of their wall arts. I'm only using the picture for this one, and I'm saving the picture frame for my next DIY. Now this picture needs a back, so I am going to use this construction paper booklet, or the back of it, and I'm going to just use it as the back because I do want the back to be nice and sturdy. Now that I have the back piece, I'm going to just cut a little bit off the picture. As you can see, it doesn't cover the whole thing, but that is okay. That is where the wood frame is going to go. So I am going to glue this in the center. The next thing I will be doing is gluing the frame to the picture using hot glue. To hang this to the wall, I'm using a sawtooth hook and adding it to the back. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful and it was so easy and simple to do. For my next DIY, I will be using this picture frame that I used in my previous DIY. I'm going to paint this using my Waverly chalk paint in Elephant. I couldn't use my wood stain because this isn't wood. This picture frame came with a back piece that was made out of a cardboard, and I wanted it to be white, so I tried to add a white paper and it looks so weird. So I decided to make my own back piece using this Dollar Tree Easter sign. I'm going to just use the cardboard and trace it, then I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it using my saw. You can use a knife or something very sharp and it will still work. These things are made out of like cardboard, I think, I'm not sure, but they are very easy to cut. Now I'm going to paint it using some white chalk paint. Now before I add the back, I am going to add this piece of burlap ribbon that I had. This is where I'm going to hang my wreath from. For the wreath, I will be using a piece of the floral 3D round wreath forms from Dollar Tree. I did remove one of the circles and cut it to make it smaller. Now I'm going to just tie it using some juice string. At first it wasn't a perfect circle, but then you just have to mess around with it until it gets the form of the circle. The flowers I will be using are these lavenders. These are from Dollar Tree. As you can see, I only have these left over because the other ones I used them on my next DIY. So I'm going to just cut the stems off, and then there's 2 purple and then 2 white. So I'm going to tie 1 purple and 1 white, going one way, and then going the other way, I'm going to add the other purple and the other white. I'm going to use a piece of juice string and tie them in the center. I did make the string long enough to where there was some left over, so like that I can tie it to the wreath. Now I am going to tie it on top of the other juice string, like that is going to cover that part. Now it's ready to go, but before I add it to my frame, I am going to remove this thankful sign from this back piece. This is from a picture frame decor that I recently used in one of my videos. I'll have that link down in the description box. I did make a planter out of that. So the next thing I'm doing is just removing all the little pieces of paper that get stuck to the glue. While doing this, I did accidentally break it, but that is okay. I ended up fixing it by just gluing it together with hot glue. And just like that, it is fixed. Now I'm going to just add the wreath to the frame using the ribbon I added, and I do want to tie it on the back so you don't see it. I didn't tie it, I'm sorry. I glued it using hot glue. To secure it some more, I am going to add a piece of paper to the back. And now I'm going to just glue the thankful in the center of the wreath using hot glue. I'm going to make a bow using some juice string. I was about to glue the bow when I noticed that it kept covering the T and some of the H, so I decided to move the wreath around. The last thing I did was just add the little hook that came on the cardboard more to the top, and then I added the cardboard to the back. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful. For my next DIY, I'm going to use one of the Dollar Tree wood crates. And I'm going to stain it using the mint wax in the color Classic Gray. Look how beautiful this Classic Gray is. Now I'm going to use 2 of the Dollar Tree Easter little bottles. These little bottles are perfect, but they are kind of short. When you add them inside the crate, you can hardly see them. So I decided that if I added the lid, it was gonna make them a little bit higher. So I'm going to just hot glue the lid to the bottom. Then I'm going to paint them using some white chalk paint. Once they are dry, I'm going to use a scent sheet to distress them. To decorate them a little more, I'm going to add some juice string to the top and with the same jewelry I'm going to make a bow. Now for the florals, I will be using the lavender picks from Dollar Tree, and I'm using some white and some purple. And that is it for this little planter. I think it turned out beautiful, and the best part is that you can use this all year round by switching the floral. From Dollar Tree, I will be using a bamboo wreath and some mini bouquet picks. Oh my gosh, these look gorgeous. They look so high-end, and they look like if I got them at Michael's, but I didn't. I grabbed these at Dollar Tree, and unfortunately, I only grabbed two. I really wish I did grab some more because they look so high-end. Now, I'm not going to glue anything to the wreath. I am using the stems to just weave them through the string of the bamboo. As you can see, I did have to remove the leaves so I can be able to weave it through, but then after that I did put the leaves back on there, and I will be doing the same thing to the other bouquet. For the welcome sign, I will be using a Dollar Tree arrow. Now I'm going to make it into a rectangle, so I am going to cut the little edges and make this straight using my handsaw. Now I'm going to paint it using my Waverly Antique Wax. For the word welcome, I will be using the Dollar Tree metal sign. Now you can just glue this to the sign, but what I decided to do was just trace it and then paint it using some white chalk paint. That is just because I'm a crafter, so I like reusing my stuff. And look how beautiful this looks. Now I'm going to add it to my wreath, but once again, I'm not going to glue it, I'm going to tie it. And I will be using the same string that the little wreath has, and I'm going to add another one to the bottom. This will be making it easier to tie it to the wreath. And that is it for this wreath. I think it turned out beautiful and it was so easy and inexpensive to make. I did make this under $4 and it looks so high-end and it's beautiful for this spring. My next DIY is going to be a basket wreath. Now from Dollar Tree, I will be using one of their gold wire basket. I'm not really liking this gold color, so I am going to spray paint it using some white spray paint. The next Dollar Tree item I will be using is this love sign. I got this during their Valentine, but I know Dollar Tree right now is carrying so many beautiful wood signs you can use instead. I'm going to paint this using the Waverly Antique Wax. I'm going to set this to the side and let it dry, and I'm going to work on the floral picks I will be using. I'm using one from Dollar Tree and two from Walmart. I'm going to cut all the stems off from all three picks. Now that everything's cut, I'm going to separate them, and I only had one of the Dollar Tree ones, so the one with the little leaves or the long leaves, I won't be using that. I am also using some of the Walmart boxwood greenery. I cut 4 stems from one pick. Now I'm going to arrange all of the stems, some going one way, some going the other way. Then I'm going to tie them together using a piece of jute twine. I did make sure it was long enough to where when I am done wrapping it and tying it, I have enough to tie it to the basket. I'm going to do the same thing I did to the welcome sign. I'm going to cut the string it had in half, and then I'm going to add another string so like that I can tie this to the basket. But this time, since this is a heavier sign, I did decide to put a piece of popsicle stick for extra support. So now I'm going to just tie the sign to the basket. This word sign is pretty long, so I did have to place it sideways. I won't be adding a boat to the center. Instead, I decided to add this beautiful purple succulent that I found at Dollar Tree. So that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful and it was so easy and so inexpensive to make. For my next DIY, I will be using this paper plastic holder plate from Dollar Tree. I'm going to make this into a wheel wreath, so I am going to cut some of these little center plastic things off. As you can see, I wasn't able to cut everything off, so I'm going to use my box cutter just to cut the rest off. And this is how it looks. Once I was finished, I went outside and spray painted this using the same Krylon and white. For the greenery, I will be using the Walmart boxwood greenery. I use like 1.5 picks. I cut all the stems off and then just place them, one going one way, the other one going the other way, and then tie them in the center. Once again, I use a piece of jute twine, but I made sure it was long enough to where I had some left over, so like that I can tie it to the wreath. For my next DIY, I will be using a Dollar Tree paper holder. I'm going to make this into a wreath, but I do want this to be a wheel wreath. So I'm going to cut some of these little plastic center pieces off. I'm going to add a wood sign to the bottom. So I'm using this Dollar Tree wood sign, and I'm going to paint it using the Waverly Antique Wax. And because I'm using this inside my house, I'm using some hot glue to glue this. As you can see, I did add a bow in between the boxwood greenery, but I did end up switching it just to a burlap bow. And that is it for this wreath. I think it turned out beautiful, and you can use this all year round. And that is it, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section which one was your favorite, because I would love to know. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, bye.